Remind me, is that fairly inflamed? Is that like a mild response?
This is a degenerative response.
Okay.
So it's an overload. So it's what's commonly referred as tendinopathy.
Right.
Or tendinosis, not an itis. Itis is inflammation. And there's no inflammatory process going on as such.
Okay.
But obviously...
It's damaged tissue. Or damaged fibres, sorry.
Yeah. And so you get some degradation of those fibres, but it's not via an inflammatory process.
Gotcha.
The inflammatory process is part of it.
Yeah.
But
so the inflammatory is quite acute, but the degenerative is what's actually happened in the long term.
yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you've just got this.
Black void.
But the rest of the tendon's okay.
Do I stick or do I twist? I put it to you.
Oh, gosh. It's a really tricky one. It's the time that's the problem.
Yeah. It's just not enough time, is it?
For Achilles, you're looking at 3 months.
Yeah. Because the fear, I say the fear, it would just be the worry of being on that start line, committing.
Yeah, not knowing.
Yeah.
I've been there, I've done that. And sometimes I've got away with it. I felt brilliant and finished brilliantly, and felt I thought brilliant. And other times I've been done within a few miles. So what you're really looking for is here's the integrity of them bundles. So that's all coming towards you. So you don't see any big gaps with mine, do you?
No.
So it's all tightly knitted together, and that's not what it looked like when it went.
And what view is this? Is this like the anterior view?
This is what's called short view. It's like an axial view.
Right.
As if you cut the Achilles, as if it was coming towards you.
Yeah.
Cut it.
And
looking down the cables.
Yeah.
While this one is looking
across
aside on the cables. So that's your calcaneum there, and that's your Achilles tendon there, and that's the mid portion sort of tendinopathic area.
So is this the top of the heel bone?
Yeah. So that's your heel, and that's and you can see the widened bit here on this sort of. The darkened bit. And I've done it. I've run races where I think I just shouldn't be on the start line. I've done it and I'm like, it's in a pub! and then I ran races thinking, I've done it before, and I lasted about 2 miles, 3 miles, and it's gone. And it's like common sense says,
it is common sense.
Why the hell are you running in the first place? You know you shouldn't.
So how many times has it worked in one favour to the other? How many times have you turned up knowing really you shouldn't be there, but it's paid off compared to when it's not?
Probably, I wouldn't say paid off, but I've completed it.
Yeah.
Probably half and half, really.
Right.
It's quite a few races on that.
Oh yeah, well, I imagine you've done a lot, Mark, where you've been at that start line thinking, I shouldn't be here. First time I met you at an event, Mark, was in the Manchester half. You weren't meant to be doing it. You said to Charlotte that morning, I'll just go get the atmosphere and I'll just go say hello, see a few faces.
I had pain in my leg going walking then. The last call I thought, I'm not going to work out. If you run October, November, you could get injured in either one of those. You might not get injured. But if you do, it will then definitely be 3 months.
Wipe out the next
It might be longer than that. But I started to force it, and weekend common sense. I'm not listening to myself really. But you do these things, silly things. But it's 7 months before I could.
It's just a long time. When it's such a staple in your life, it's a long time, isn't it? So it is 3 days later, and you've obviously already seen the title of the video. You know what my decision is, but I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain the reasoning for it and just ultimately where my head's been at, because it's a bit all over the show. I'm not going to lie. I've invested so much time into this marathon, so much time, so much effort. I've made so much sacrifice, and anybody watching this who has committed so much to a cause and for whatever reason that outcome hasn't quite worked the way that you've wanted, it's just so frustrating, and you obviously just wish it was going to be different. But I have to respect that I have an injury, and I have to respect the fact that if I run with this Achilles, there's every possibility that I make it worse, and the potential damage I could cause could mean that I'm not going to run for a year. And my long-term health and my ability to run is far more important than any singular event. And so that's why I have made the decision. I'm happy with the decision. I'm at peace with the decision, and that's why I've moved on. It's not been an easy one to make, don't get me wrong, but it's one that I needed to make because, you know, I was going to be going with family and friends. There's obviously a lot of money on the line with regards to it, which I've fortunately been able to get back. That's been a bit of a stress factor as well. So it's not just been a case of, oh, just don't do the marathon. There's quite a few moving parts with it. But overwhelmingly, I don't want to get injured any further. I want to go through this rehab, commit to it fully, and be ready to run fully again by Christmas time, certainly by January, because I want to run. I want to run all through next year. Next year, I plan on traveling more, and part of why I love to travel is to run in new places. And if I can't run, as much as I love the gym, it's just going to be a frustrating experience. And so there's way too many cons for the sake of a somewhat okay outcome in terms of New York. Because let's pretend that, well, I say let's pretend, let's assume that I do the marathon. As you've heard already, I could be on that start line and I could be risking my injury further. It could get worse by me doing it. And I think more importantly, I just think emotionally, and I say this to anybody that I work with, I'd say it to friends, family, with a racing event in particular, you want to be on that start line first and foremost. But secondly, you want to be there knowing that you've done everything that you can, knowing that when you do the event, you're just there to enjoy it. You're just there to immerse yourself into the atmosphere, to feed off the euphoria of the crowd, and just to get that endorphin rush. That is not going to be the case for me, regardless of how this next 5 weeks turns out. If I spend copious amounts of hours on the bike, if I commit fully to the cause, I am ultimately going to be on that start line, and there is a risk that I make my injury worse. And so therefore I'm going to be fearful, I'm going to be anxious that with any corner I take, with every mile that I do, I'm getting a little bit closer to suddenly my Achilles going. And I could be fine, I could be, but it's just not worth it. I want to run around New York excited and just buzzing, for a better term. But instead, I'm just going to be riddled with anxiety for 26 miles. 26 miles. And that is not how I envisioned doing this marathon. So obviously I've been a bit stubborn with the decision because I've invested so much time. Some of you may be aware of the sunk cost fallacy. It's very much been like that. I've invested so much into something, so naturally it's a little bit harder to turn away from it and to move on. But it's the right decision, and again, I am happy with it. So thank you to everybody who has reached out and asked questions. I've only come to this conclusion the past weekend based on the last results that I've got. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did suspect that this was gonna be the case, but I'm an optimistic person. I'm a stubborn, determined person, so I was hoping for a different outcome, but it's just not to be. So this isn't the end. I will be running the New York City Marathon in 2024. So this journey is just going to be on hold for a little while. You best believe I am going to be back stronger and more determined than ever before. But this journey is going to continue. I think, and this is one of the lessons that I will have learned from the previous experience, I'm probably going to start my prep around July next year. One thing I've realized immediately is I didn't need 5 months to prep for a marathon. I was in great condition in May. But I decided, it's difficult because I got confirmation early June. So in my head, I just thought, I'll just carry on. I'll just carry on training. Makes sense, right? But it has come at a cost and I am now paying the price. But this is a positive video. The decision has been made. Just stay tuned for when the journey kickstarts, and it just means that I've got to set a new goal. So I have decided already what I'm going to go into next in terms of fitness, but I'll go through that in the next video and make something a bit more of it. But this video is just to say that I'm not going to be doing the New York City Marathon, certainly not this year, but I will be doing it next year. I hope you can stick around for that. And once again, just thank you to everybody who has shown their support and sent some lovely messages. I wish it was a different outcome, but it's not to be. So yeah, I'll leave it there, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.